That all appeals filed in the registry shall, as far as possible, be heard in the order in which they are set down.
Okay.
I mean,
Implementation. So, according to you, the rules are already there. They are not implemented.
no,
So, if it is incorporated,
it is not incorporated in the
Zahid
statute.
Ibrahim, there seems to be a great fear regarding open door syndrome thing that's going on. So in this case, what we have to identify is whether there is a door or not. So if there is a door, there could come a law which could strengthen us, which would strengthen the Supreme Court, enhance the independence of judiciary. I'm okay with that coming in the door. But if something else walks in the door which affects my jurisdiction, reduces my jurisdiction, violates fundamental rights, access to justice, independence, I strike it down. So what's the fear? What is this open door syndrome going on?
It's a red herring.
And again, Mr. Zahid Ibrahim,
the main question is,
Mr. Zahid Ibrahim, all that the Parliament has done.
The door is the question that will determine.
The Constitution, for the time being,
Zahid
does not give a door to the executive or the legislature to interfere in the internal affairs of the Supreme Court.
So this bench has to determine whether it all is a door or not.
Mr.
What comes
Zahid
through the
Ibrahim,
door is not my problem.
I think these proceedings are a classic example of how the jurisdiction or the power was exercised by the Chief Justice. As I pointed out earlier, there are a lot more important cases which never get a turn. Now here, everyone is saying it's a good law, but everyone fears this open door syndrome, as my learned brother has stated. I view it differently. The Parliament, since this court, having the power under Article 191, was even refusing to call a meeting of full court. And all that they did was to structure the discretion. They have not given any directions, and all that they have done is tried to structure the discretion which this court was refusing to do, and there were obvious abuses.
And the unstructured discretion, my lord, we can close our eyes, but the public confidence in the judiciary has eroded. And we are all invested in this.
I think, Mr. Ibrahim, if I may ask you a question, assuming that this law is, I'm looking at the practice and procedure bits of it now, assuming that this law is intra vires the Constitution, in light of this law, who is the master of the roster?
Well, according to one judgment...
No, I'm talking of the law. In light of this law, who is the master of the roster?
I'm not sure where the term even master of roster comes from.
Who decides which cases get fixed where, etc., etc.?
The committee decides. The committee.
No, you're wrong. Committee is the creature and creation of Parliament. At its broadest level, this law is a claim by Parliament that Parliament is the master of the roster. And I'm asking you a question. You don't have to, as already pointed out by the Honorable Chief Justice, you don't have to agree with the question. To me, this is the crucial aspect of this law. It is not whether the committee consists of 3 judges or 5 judges, or Parliament says, let the full court do it, or let the Chief Justice do it. Those variations, as has been pointed out, you said it, maybe that those laws will be made, maybe they won't be made, that's speculative. Whether it is speculative or not, I put that to one side. The point is, and this is the question I'm putting to you,
Yes, ma'am.
that in any of those scenarios, including the one that we have before us today, it is not the committee that is the master of the roster, because the committee is a creature of Parliament's will. Parliament has willed it into existence. Therefore, it is Parliament that is the master of the roster. Now, placed at that level, seems to me that this is directly in conflict, directly contrary to the principle of independence of judiciary. What would you say to that?
master
I
of the
would
roster,
say- I would-
Mr. Ibrahim, can the master of the roster speak? I asked the purported master of the roster. When I became Chief Justice, and I was there also, the existing rules of the Supreme Court of Pakistan, 1980, stipulate simply that the Chief Justice will constitute this. And our practice had developed, maybe it's in accordance with the rules, I can't find it, that every week, list of cases prepared, a list would go to the Chief Justice, this case would go to that judge, and this case would go to that judge, and this case would go to that judge. I have discontinued that practice. This is not even the job of the Chief Justice. This is the job of the registrar. They can be given broad outlines, first in, first out being the general principle. Then there can be fast-track cases, election matters. Naturally, election matter will become redundant after a certain period of time, bail matters, etc. But to see even the cause list of the day and where it goes, I think, and this is the master of the roster speaking, please give me this power so I can use it from the existing Supreme Court rules. Where do I have this power? I can't seem to find it. Can you help me with that?
And Mr. Zaid Ibrahim, there are no masters anymore in the world, you see. If you look around...
He always wants to undermine my authority.
With respect
On
to the
a lighter
master.
note.
No, but
So I don't see that as a master. So Mr. Zaid Ibrahim, what I want to say is that if you look at internationally, it's about time we wake up to the world, you see. We have US, UK, Germany, Brazil, Nepal, Philippines, just to name a few. There's no such thing as master of all, master of the roster. It's a collegial system that works, and that's across the board. And it's about time that we also woke up.
I
Yeah.
utmost respect, I say, we wake up to what's outside this room.
I don't need to be respectful to anyone. Just come and ask them to go.
Yes.
This is not a lifetime appointment.
But while they are there,
No, just a minute. One Chief Justice may have one view of the matter, the other may have another view. And those who come, and I don't mean immediately, I'm not talking of potential Chief Justices sitting here, I'm talking even way into the future, they will do whatever they want to do. But that is not the important point. The ephemeral, fleeting, whether it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 year term of a Chief Justice, of a master, if you want to put it that way, in the more traditional sense, that is, in a sense, beside the point. The question is, within the framework of the Constitution, separation of powers, independence of judiciary, ultimately, who is the master of the roster? And can Parliament lay such a claim and not violate the Constitution? This is the ultimate question.
But if I could just
May
bring
I-
in another dimension to this, I don't know if you've looked at this new book called Court on Trial, and they've done a data-based analysis of the Indian Supreme Court, where they say that invariably through data they've discovered that Chief Justice, if he has all the powers, he can manipulate cases. He can ensure a certain outcome. This is through data that they've presented. They've said that judges who have been dissenting, Subha Rao is one of the judges who dissented several times during his tenure as a judge, but as a Chief Justice, he never dissented because they would manage the bench. So this has been through data now established that if one person could get a bench constituted, get the judges on that bench, he could ensure the outcome. Don't you think that sort of directly hits at the core of independence of judiciary?
of course it does. And let me,
Mr. Zaid
I've
Ibrahim,
also read the book that my learned colleague is talking about, and I look forward to having a very enjoyable discussion about it with him. But the thing is, if the principle, it's the principle that matters.
Yeah.
If one man can do it, maybe 3 persons can do it.
Your Lordship,
Maybe 5 persons can do it. No, if you don't like following logic to wherever it goes, then the logical answer is everything should go to the full court, but that's practically not possible.
Mr. Zaid
The
Ibrahim.
point is, the principle of the thing still stands. My question to you still stands.
I
Yes.
want to have
Please
the
answer
opportunity
that.
to answer it.
respond करें उसको.
The answer is in two. First, I would urge your lordships to not read this law as an encroachment into the independence of the judiciary. By no stretch of imagination is. Even in Parliament, when this was discussed, it was discussed that the bar has wanted to do this for a long time. But PTI is challenging their legal counsel. Hamid Khan was cited in the debate as supporting this law. To answer your question, Parliament does not seek to be the master of roster of any.
Not a question of whether they seek to be this
Or they have not.
Mr. Zaid Ibrahim.
The principle that is being established is that they are. Whether they seek it or not is beside the point. This is
Mr.
the
Zaid
core
Ibrahim.
of the question.
I would say that it is not. And secondly,
Mr. Zaid Ibrahim,
Just on the lighter
in
note,
most of the jurisdictions,
the only
the
way I
fixation
cannot
of
read
cases-
into this is to keep my eyes closed.
no, is to not chase shadows.
Mr.
I would say
Zaid
not chase
Ibrahim.
shadows. And just one last thing. My Lord, your Lordship had said that, oh, Chief Justices are there for 1 year, 2 years, they go, new Chief Justice come and, it's not you're stuck for this forever. But my Lord, what do we tell people who had
No,
homes in
I
Asra
know,
Tower?
I think, no,
What do we
sorry,
tell
Mr.
people
Zaid,
who lost
Mr. Zaid,
jobs,
Mr. Zaid
employment,
Ibrahim,
lives, property?
Mr. Zaid
There
Ibrahim,
should be a right of appeal.
ये देखिए, let this message not go out from this court, that the constitution and the laws of Pakistan are dependent on who the Chief Justice of Pakistan is. This message must not go out from this court. The laws of the constitution and the laws of Pakistan are there, irrespective of the size of the Chief Justice's foot. So let this message not go out that the next Chief Justice can do as he pleases. Absolutely not. Let that be clear that what the law is, what the constitution is not a variable commodity subject to the whims and wishes of the Chief Justice of Pakistan. That must not be so. And if that is so, that is destructive of the constitution. It is destructive of the rule of law. It is destructive of the independence of the judiciary. It is destructive of the next one. He'll retire. 25th of October, he goes. Next is his own way. No, absolutely. Doing things. It's not. I mean, sorry, anybody thinks that side. Parliament situation. Let this institution for as here we have autocrats writing master. I am servant to the